Welcome back to the Avenue. I'm Adrian, and today I'm glad you're here because we're going to discuss two distinct topics that everybody is talking about. It's putting a strain on most families in America. We're going to jump right in and talk about these issues and maybe give some solutions as to what we can do about them and help our families out. Stay tuned. Let's jump right in. For some of us, 2025 has been still a pretty tough, a pretty rough year because things as far as the economy does not seem to be getting any better. So what are we going to do? We're going to talk about it and see if there's some things that we can do. One of the things that everybody that I get into conversation with, it's no secret, is inflation. And inflation shows up at the gas pump. Inflation shows up in buying houses, buying cars. Inflation especially shows up at the grocery store for all of us. Even when you're going out to eat, inflation is there meeting you at the door. So inflation is a continuing issue, and everybody's talking about it. People talk to me about it on a constant basis. When we go to the grocery store, we have a list made out thinking we're going to spend a certain amount of money with this list. And when we come out of the grocery store, the list is still the same list, but the amount that we thought we were going to spend has gone up. So there's some critical issues, some things that are keeping us kind of challenged in 2025 because inflation has not gotten better. And so the eating out is something that you may want to take a look at because the portions are smaller and the amount that they're charging is getting larger. And this is even fast food, you all. When you go to these fast food places, McDonald's or whoever they are, you go to these places and all of a sudden something that was maybe $3.49 is now $4.19. Or if it was $5.99, now it's $6.19. It's creeping up. But if you pay attention, you're paying more for the food that they're using. And then we hear things about bird flu and other things coming out about some of these products that we're buying at the grocery store, trying to cook at home, trying to do the right thing. And then they put out reports like that. Then you go to the grocery store. I know here in Texas, I've gone to the grocery store looking for a certain brand of eggs that I usually buy, and the eggs are not there. And you go at the morning, the eggs are not there. You go in the afternoon, they're not there. You go at night, the eggs are still not there. And this particular grocery store gets shipments in every day. So there's some things that's missing on the aisles, missing on the shelves that's not there. So we're combating inflation with food and items that we may want to buy, just not being there. So there could be a shortage somewhere, or I'm not sure what's going on with the food not being on the shelves, but we're combating those two things, and it's an ongoing issue. It's an ongoing problem, and it's something that we need to kind of sit down and talk about and let's address to see what we can do to try to help ourselves in this situation. The second issue, financial issue that people are talking about, and me as a realtor, I know this well, is housing affordability. The builders are building houses, people are selling their houses, but it's at a price that's a lot higher than it was when I say a few years ago, pre-COVID years ago. So housing prices have gone up. Now in my particular area, in Austin area, houses went up the most. And since then, houses have come down because for the folks who were paying $50,000 and $100,000 over, now they find themselves upside down because they cannot sell that house for what they paid for it a couple of years ago when the houses were inflated and people just wanted a house. They were on a list, they went out and bought the house, and now they're underwater with the house. And so, and some of them are having challenges with losing jobs and that type of thing. So that is a concern, affordable housing, because where do you find affordable housing? Sometimes you have to look in areas that may not be so desirable or areas further out than where you want to come in to go to work. And that may be some more affordable housing there. And then they're building multifamily housing, such as condos, such as duplexes in areas, townhouses, where you can go in and they may be a little bit more affordable than buying a single family home where you have your actual yard to yourself and no one attached to you. But that is a major problem, housing affordability. And people are moving from state to state to state trying to find affordable housing. It's kind of bottomed out here, and houses prices are creeping back up a little bit. We know that a house is an asset, such as even a car is an asset, but a car is a depreciating asset. A house eventually will appreciate. I cannot tell you what time frame that will happen, but because it's something that we're not going to build, there's not any more land to build houses on, right? So when you have a limited amount of supply, eventually it's going to go up and up and up. Now, it may take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or shorter to turn that around, but houses normally appreciate in value if you take care of them and that type of thing. So just know the housing affordability is an issue, even with rental property. It's high to rent these days too. So you can't get out of it by saying, well, I won't buy a house, I'll just go rent. Now it's a lot more affordable to rent, but it may be a smaller property. And then that landlord has the advantage of whenever your lease renews, they can go up in rent. You know, there's certain things you can't do. You may not can paint walls. You may not can do certain things to that house, or you may have to ask permission before you do something like that. So we have all of these things that add to the housing affordability. People need places to live. And so we're going to try to come up with some solutions for the housing affordability also. So stay tuned. Now, what I hope you don't have an issue with or are concerned with is hitting that like button and that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on the latest information as I bring it to you. And make a comment. Have you run into some of this inflation? I know you have. Have you run into some housing affordability issues? I'd love to know that, because it's prominent here in the United States and it doesn't appear that anybody is doing anything about it. So we have to take matters into our own hands and try to do what we can do, because simply complaining about it is not changing things. It's not doing anybody any good. So let's see some of the things that we can actually do to help ourselves with this situation, these financial issues that everybody's talking about. The very first thing I want you to start with for a solution for this inflation is to review your budget. See what's out there that you may not need or something that you don't use anymore. Look at your budget to see where you can cut. See where you can maybe cut back a little. Look at your utility bills. Look at the temperature. Look at things that maybe you've been paying on a monthly basis that you don't really use or you don't really need right now. Because if you do that, some of these places will work with you just to keep you paying. They will work with you and potentially bring the bill down if you want to keep that service. But that's the first place I want you to start, is look at your budget. If you don't have a budget, you need to get a budget. You need to write down what you're spending each and every month, because you don't know where your money is going if you don't have some means of tracking it. So I'm asking you, if you want to combat this inflation and do the very best we can with what we have given to us, you need a budget and you need to know where your money is being spent. The next thing for the grocery store, to either buy in bulk from the large grocery places such as Costco or Sam's Club, or buy generic brands. Look at the labels, see what's on in, the national brands, see what's on the store brands, see what's on the generic brands, to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. And if it's something, especially canned goods, you can spice those up, pour the water off of it and put the seasonings in like you like it, and, bring the flavor back in them. So those are some things that you can look at trying instead of sticking to the national brands and paying maybe a little bit more. And some of these brands are pretty high. It's not just a couple of cents more. It may be a couple of dollars more to go with those brands. So look at the brands and, look down on the bottom shelves. Sometimes you guys, they have the best deals on the bottom shelves because they know you're not going to squat down and look down there. You're going to look, the things that they sell the most is right at eye level, because they know most people, they're going to look at eye level. They may look down a little bit, look up a little bit. But if you squat down to see what's on that bottom shelf, you may be surprised at the prices that you get and the values that you get from that. And if you can, like non-perishables, go to Costco, buy in bulk, because you will save more per item if you buy in bulk than not. So try those two things also. This is a good one. Planning your meals so that you don't waste food. You need to plan your meals out. I have been guilty of not planning my meals, just buying stuff that, I like this, let me buy it, right? But if I plan the meals out during the week, I know how many salads I'm going to be eating. I know the ingredients that I need, and then I won't let the stuff go bad, because salads, that's one thing that goes bad quickly. If you buy the bag salads, once you open it, the clock is starting on it. And if you don't eat that in a couple of days, you're going to see the brown stuff starting to sprout up. And then after that, if you don't eat it in a couple of days, you're going to see the mush start to come. So once the air hits it, it goes pretty quickly. So make sure you're planning your meals out. Plan something that you can cook and maybe eat it on it a couple of days. But you don't want to continue to throw stuff out, because you're wasting money. If you let milk get old, if you let other things get old, and then you have to throw them out of the refrigerator, that's just money down the drain. Or if you buy stuff, put it in the cabinet, and you don't use it right away, and then the next thing you know, it expired last year. I'm guilty. Some spices expire on me. There's some other things that I've put in the pantry that I didn't go back to and said, I'll get to that later. And next thing you know, I'll look at them and they're expired. And if it's expired, I'm throwing it out. I'm not going to take the chance at eating it. But these are some things that we're throwing money away, just down the drain. So let's be more conscientious of the things that we're not doing that's hurting us. And let's eat the things, meal plan, and let's not waste so much on food. And the last thing I will bring up is reducing your energy. If there's some thermostats that you can adjust, especially when you're not there. When you're not home, you want to, keep things comfortable, but you don't have to have the air or the heat just blasting, because there's nobody there to actually enjoy the heat or the air that's blasting. Another thing, if you have an electric car, you all know that I bought a hybrid. So I do charge my vehicle up. I was charging it as soon as I came home every time I used it, because I wanted it ready to go. Big mistake. There are different rates at different times. And I found out that the rates start falling at 8 o'clock. 11 o'clock is another rate change, and the best rates, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can get better rates on things because the consumption of energy is not that high in demand. So it's cheaper to do it then than not. And also, depending on if it's the summer or the winter, they change these times just slightly. So check with your electric company to see when are the kilowatt hours the highest that you're paying for, and when are they the lowest. Also, on my water bill, I put a warning once it goes above a certain amount a day. I get a note letting me know that, hey, you've hit your limit for the day. Now, it doesn't shut off or anything, but I get the note, so I'll know. So when I water my grass, turn the sprinklers on, every time I do it, I get that note, but I know what's going on. And I can go in and check my bill to see when I'm getting ready to go to the next water level, which will cost me even more money. So if you do some of these things that will help you out, that will be very, very helpful to you. And you'll know exactly, when the money is going up, when you're spending more than what you thought you were going to spend for that month, as far as utility bills and water bills and stuff like that. So keep that in mind, because these are some tips that can help you manage your money and keep things well under control. Now, to address the housing affordability, a couple of things you can do is, like I said before, the further out you look from the center of town, the more likely, the better the prices are going to be. Some people will actually live in some of the outside cities of Austin, which it's more affordable there than it is downtown, especially downtown. Downtown is just extremely expensive. They have the high rises and the towers and stuff like that. And then the city of Austin in particular, they have some pretty high prices, and there's patches of areas in Austin that are extremely high. But once you start going out beyond Austin, it gets more affordable, and the further you go out, the more affordable it's going to get. Now, what you need to consider is your drive into the city. If you have to come into the city, it's going to be gas, it's going to be time on the interstate, it's going to be time on the highway. We do have tolls here, but sometimes it's time on the tolls also. So consider that gas, consider the toll fees, consider your precious time to sit in order to get into work every day or whatever it is you feel like you need to come in. Now, if you work from home, that's great. You can buy a house wherever you want to. But if it's something where you have to come in to go to work, especially on a daily basis, just weigh out the differences from that. But that's one way of finding a more affordable place than being in the inner city. Now, another thing that you may want to do to make things more affordable is to consider a smaller home or a smaller townhome or condo, because this may be more affordable to you since you're not buying the land and the property all around it. You're actually just buying the place itself. And if it's smaller, it should be less expensive. So you want to consider that. And the great thing about, especially if this is your first home, getting your starter home, is that you don't know what you like and what you don't like. So the best thing to do is to get into something that you're comfortable with, that you feel like once you come home from work, that you can be there, be happy with your purchase, but learn for your next purchase what you like, what you would do different, and that type of thing. I know when I bought my first house, it had stairs in it. And when I bought my second house, I had stairs in it again, but I changed some things around. My first house did not have any bedrooms on the first floor. And I knew that I want bedrooms on the first floor when I buy my second home. My second home had 2 bedrooms on the first floor. My last home we don't have upstairs here because, you start thinking about the needs, you start thinking about getting older, and it's like everything on ground level works better for me. So you grow and you learn and you change things as you grow. So that's the beauty of buying a property. It's not ever going to be perfect. Even if you get it built, there's some things that probably once you start living in it, you're going to think, you know what, if I would have done it over again, I would do it a little differently. Don't worry about that, but get something that you feel like you're going to enjoy and that you're going to like when you come home, because I would never expect anyone to buy a home that they're going to hate writing the mortgage for, because this is exactly not what they wanted. And, all of that. Get something that you want in the location that you want, enjoy it, and then plan on the next thing that you want to buy and move on to. Another way of having things be more affordable for you, even though the prices are high, is to save more money for the down payment. Because of the affordability factor, the more you put down on it, the lower the monthly payment will be. So if you can save more money, put a bigger amount down, your monthly payment will be lower and you can actually afford the place. So hopefully these are helpful tips for you, because this is up on us. These are things everybody's talking about: inflation and housing affordability, because it's high right now. That's just the bottom line. But talking about it is good. Complaining about it is not good. Let's see what we can do. Hopefully these tips are helpful to you and you can take them and use them to your benefit. With that, I will see you in the next video.